Relations. I'm very pleased to be here with colleague and friend as well, Elmarie Huissen. As some of you might have seen, we started already last week in the midst of an absolute changed world where I think it's a mixture between panic, opportunity and everything in between. But we started with the SME clinic, and it was really a very quick reaction to who's going to be most affected besides the reality of lives if this or as the pandemic spreads. But we know that small business is really going to be the first and foremost affected. And Elmarie has done a lot of training and mentorship with small business, and in partnership with Smart Procurement and other partners that all put up their hands very quickly and said we want to be at the forefront of support, we started this blog, video, all of the above. It's a first for us, so bear with us, but hopefully there's something here that can be very practical and you can implement, and we look forward to the discussion. So Elmarie, thank you for joining us.
Thank you very much.
One of many, session one.
So I was saying to somebody the other day, we're moving into a time now where we make it up as we go along, but I think it's really important to just do something. My mother always, in times of difficulty, she would repack the pantry or clean out the linen cabinet, and I could never understand why she would do that, and I realize now it's because not being able to do anything actually makes you feel so helpless. And it's such a pleasure to be here to just talk about some of the practical things that we can start doing, and just at least we know that this is not a permanent thing. Yes, it will change the way that we do business, but this is not permanent, and it's more to think about what can I do while we wait for this to blow over and see what the permanent changes are going to be. So thank you very much. I'm really happy to be here.
Thank you. And Elmarie and I started the discussion, and we're going to share some of the things that have been shared by thought leaders like Lucy Temakwa, his 5 C's, and comment on that. I think that was very practical. But I think, like you said, your mom would go and clean out the pantry cupboards. And the first and foremost is not to panic. And it's all good and well to say not to panic. But you had something quite practical around mindfulness and breathing and what business owners can do right now, even though you don't feel like taking a break and having a coffee right now.
Exactly. So, I was saying to Debbie just before we started, over the last 4 days, I've been hopeful and panicky and despondent and excited, and, sometimes all within 15 minutes. And we as humans are, we have a herd mentality. So when you go into the shops, it happened to me over the weekend, you go into the shops and you just go to buy bread and you walk out and you realize that you have 4 packets of toilet paper because everybody else around you has got toilet paper, and you feel you have to do something because you pick up on that panic. And we've done that, this is the way that we evolved because this is how we survive. But it's very, very important that at this stage, now, that we realize, Kathy Weinberg from Fatola, actually in her weekly greeting this morning that came out, if you haven't seen it, please subscribe. There's some really great messages that she sends out, where she's talking about, not panicking, and just being grateful. But one of the things that we do is the moment that we start picking up on the panic around us, because the energy around us has changed, automatically your heart starts beating faster and your body goes into flight or fight mode. Even though mentally you keep on saying to yourself, it's going to be okay, don't panic, but your body is screaming, something's happening, I have to do something. And there's a lot of research that's actually showed that, that saying where they say, just take a breath. And just taking a breath, it impacts the way that your sympathetic nervous system works. And your sympathetic nervous system is the part of your body that it regulates your heartbeat, your blood pressure, and also your hormones, so your adrenal glands and all of that. So what I want to say to you is take a breath. Just breathe. Before you make any decisions, just sit down for a moment. And what you need to do is you breathe in for 2 counts, you hold it, and then you breathe out for 4 counts. And immediately that starts to slow down the heart rate, and then you feel calmer. And when we are calmer, we can actually start making rational decisions and making rational choices.
So not to do it in a hyperventilating way.
You know, and that I have to do something, I have to do something. And when you start going around that, I have to do something, you don't think it through. And I'm so worried that a lot of small businesses are falling into this trap of, I have to go online, I have to go online, not thinking, after all of this is over, is that actually where my business is going to sit? Is it worth the effort that I'm doing now to move online and to do something, when actually, when all of this is over, it's not where I want to be?
Correct. And also, I think the one suggestion is, you know, taking that mindfulness and breathing, but switch off your laptop, your phone, have a piece of paper and a pen, because I think we're also so bombarded at the moment in every platform, where we're getting so much information that we can't see through the noise to actually think clearly about our own businesses.
Absolutely. And I think it's really important to understand that your business sits within an ecosystem. That ecosystem isn't just your customers and your suppliers and your employees. There is certain regulation that's going on, but that business also, as a small business owner, sits within your family. So there's also other things that you need to take in consideration. So when you start looking at where does my business fit, I would suggest that you literally sit down, as you say, Debbie, and you write down, you draw a picture of, this is my business, this is my customers, this is my suppliers, this is me, this is my health, this is my family, and where do I need to now focus my energy? Where do I go? Where are the things that I can make a difference? Where are the things that I can control? And the things that's outside your control, don't worry about that. And that's where mindfulness comes in. Because mindfulness is the practice of being in the moment. Mm. We can absolutely exhaust ourselves by imagining everything that is going to happen in the future. And you don't know if that's going to happen. You have no control. If somebody said to me 2 weeks ago that in South Africa, everything will be shut down and we will be sitting 2 meters apart or 1.5 meters apart, I would have said, no, man, I don't think it's that serious. And things change so quickly that we have to adapt, but certain things are completely out of our control.
Correct, yeah. So talking about control as one of the C's, shall we chat a little bit about the 5 C's that were presented by Lucy and expand a little bit more on it from your experience?
Yeah. So, you know, my experience sits around specifically around customers and communication. If you get to the point where you realize my business will have to shut down, and I'll give you an example, for instance, say for instance you're in the hospitality industry, you're a spa or you're a beauty salon. It is in the best interest of you and your customers to shut down for a while. So what you need to do in that time is to think about, what am I going to do when I come out of this? How am I going to make sure that my customers understand that I'm not closing my business? I am just stopping for a moment. So this is the ideal opportunity to go and have a look at your previous, the kind of things we never have time for, is to look at the customer trends. Which of your treatments was the most popular? What are, the kind of messages that you put out on Facebook? What were the ones that got the most, likes, the biggest response? And start thinking about your marketing strategy, so that the moment that we can open the doors and we turn on the lights, we are ready to do business.
Yes.
And, and then think about, how am I going to celebrate when I get out of this? So that's the one thing, is kind of go back and have a look at, what did your customers do before? What did they really enjoy? And how can you capitalize on that the moment that you start coming back into business? And then the other thing is communication. I don't know about you, Debbie, but the hardest thing for me at the moment is the isolation, the self-isolation. I find it very difficult actually to work from home.
Yes.
I prefer the face-to-face. And a lot of your customers are going to struggle with that as well. And so whether you are a service provider or whether you have customers that come to you, for treatment or whatever, is to think about, how do I keep contact with my customer? Not only so that they know that I'm still in business, but so that I can understand where they are. I always say, people do business with people.
Exactly. Yes.
And it is actually such a great opportunity for us to come together and to start building those personal relationships. You will start to get to know your customers, and you will know what's going on, because everybody now is looking for an opportunity to actually connect, because it's so remote. So if you are at all in a position where you know who your customer is, I would absolutely say make contact with them. Send a WhatsApp. How's your week being? How are you coping? Make it personal. People do business with people, and if you make it personal, you will reap the rewards when we're back in business in a couple of months.
I quite enjoyed a suggestion I saw going viral about the spas, your example, where they say, well, buy a gift certificate for a certain amount of time. I've even seen personal trainers saying, well, we'll set up an online program for you. So being very creative, but also not sort of going too outside of what their business is about and not suddenly changing what they do just because, maybe manufacturing hand sanitizers because that's what everyone wants.
Yeah.
They're being creative within their own business.
Yeah. And so, Lucy's given the 5 C's. Kathy from Patola added confidence to that. And I think that's really important as well, is you have to take the time to sit down and think, is the innovation that I think my business can do, is it right for my business? And to then have the confidence to be happy with the decision that you make. If you feel that this will change my business too much, have the confidence to say, I am not going this route. I am going to focus on maintaining customer relations. I am going to focus on reducing my cash expenditure at the moment. Those kind of things. And then the other thing that I want to add, I personally want to add another C, and that's having courage. Mm-hmm. This is a time when a lot of us will feel that running our own business is utter madness because it's lonely and it's scary. But you have to be courageous and know that this is just going to be temporarily.
Absolutely. You touched on the cash of the 5 C's. I think it was cash and credit. So we'll just have a quick comment on that. Just that you need to reserve cash at the moment. Be careful about spending, unnecessary spending, and I think everyone gets that message pretty quickly. Cancel any sort of frills that you're planning within the business. And yes, have access to 3 to 6 months credit. We're holding thumbs that the SME debt fund will be facilitated quickly enough for businesses that need it. I think that went live today, and I think it's yet to be seen. But to make sure that you've got access to that credit as well, just to, how do you keep your business rolling in terms of overhead, etc.
Exactly. And then the other C, of course, that he talked about was your colleagues or your employees.
Yes.
And again, it's having a conversation with them. If they understand where you are, what your plans are for the business, it is a fact that people will lose their jobs. But I think it's very important that you as a business owner keep in mind that when you open the doors, you don't want to start recruiting from scratch. So keep contact with your employees. Make sure that they know that once you are up and running, they will be back. Because in a way, everybody needs hope. So I think that's all of our responsibility, is to do the right thing. So where you can, try to pay as much as you can for the time being, but also giving that reassurance that, and I think there's this other fear that if I had the virus and I get healthy, will I be allowed back? Is to reassure your employees that even if you've had it, once you're fully recovered, you are welcome to come back.
An interesting, it's not an official statistic, but someone mentioned to me, I think it was in the 2008 economic crisis, the businesses that held on to their staff and communicated with their colleagues and their staff, and they worked together to come through it, were actually the quickest to succeed coming out of it. So I think this is also going to show how we can be as employees and employers to make sure that we're doing the right thing in this crisis and hopefully not taking the greedy high line.
Exactly.
Or low line, probably.
Yeah. And I absolutely agree with that. If you have employees that already understand your business, so much easier to just open the doors again and start than having to retrain people. And it's really important, that's why I say, to keep that. And communication is with your staff, your customers, your creditors. I noticed this morning that NetBank also has now come out saying that they will either extend credit or give customers credit holidays. So I think a lot of the banks are going to follow suit. But make sure that you communicate with your creditors and say to them, this is the situation. This is my plans for my business. There is nothing worse than not knowing what is going to happen. So if you just share that information, people will be comfortable to have the conversations and see how they can help.
Let's talk a little bit about customers. So smart procurement, the reason we spend so much time with these platforms and events is giving small business market access. And one of the factors that has always come up and that we're trying to address over the years is that a small business doesn't have time to look for new customers because you're just delivering on that big project or that big product. So this might also be the opportunity to really think about who your new customer can be. So what we're seeing with our community of buyers from corporates and government is they are struggling to get supply, whether they were getting supply from China or they were getting local supply. Again, I'm not going to harp on the hand sanitizers, but the opportunity now is also, if I can't get it from China, now I'm forced to find a local supplier. So the whole focus on industrialists and local manufacturing, it's kind of created an opportunity. So how do you as a business make sure that you are talking to supply chain? We're busy implementing something to hopefully continue, well not hopefully, we will facilitate that more online. But you yourself can manage that as a business owner. So if business is not happening, your event is that you were in eventing, so if your event is not running, how can you best spend your time making sure that when things are up and running that you're talking to those new customers and understanding maybe there's other areas you can help them currently?
Absolutely, and also if you go and have a look and at the kind of things that South Africa is or used to export, just so that it can be turned into a product to be imported again. If there's some you have the time now, go and do research, see if there's anything that you can add into that value chain that will make a difference. The other thing that I also just want to say is, if you are a small business, you have a history with your existing customers. Use that history to give them the comfort that you are in charge, that you are taking control of this. Yes, some of you will be able to innovate, and some of you won't be, but just be honest about that with your customer and use that to go to other customers and say, this is my plans. If people know what it is that you are planning in your business and you continue to have communication with them, you will build that relationship and the economy will turn around, everything will open again. And then you have already an existing relationship and you don't feel like you just have to go and knock on doors talking to strangers.
Correct. Well, we're hoping to have a lot more sessions, but definitely what we want is questions from you as small business. We have access to a lot of good brains in industry that are supporting this. As of tonight, the President will be addressing us again. So, that constant change that you spoke about, we don't know what's going to be announced and it might change the landscape once again. But please keep tuned in. Give us your questions and we will definitely hope to address them as best we can. But before we close off, Elmarie, I don't know if you want to cover any final topics or
I think,
points.
The most important thing for me is don't lose hope. This is not a permanent thing. And on the days that you feel really, panicky or despondent, we all have good things in our life. Be grateful, because when you come from a point of gratitude, actually life isn't so bad. So hang in there, and there are so many businesses and organizations that is really willing to help. So go out and ask for help, ask for support.
And I think take the opportunity with your family now.
Absolutely.
I married a teacher, so I brought him home now, so that's all sorted. But also it is an opportunity to take a deep breath and just focus on them and how our kids see us reacting to something that we've never experienced before. And it's an opportunity to also show them what being a good human being is. So,
absolutely.
Yeah. Until next time, which will hopefully only be a few days, stay strong, don't panic, and innovate.
Goodbye.